Well, in this video, we'll just talk a little bit about, some of Cheesus's miracles. And of course, they're all basically going to be centered around the same miracle that he supposedly did, but it's going to be in each book of the Bible. This one, of course, is in Matthew 15, verse 32 to 38. Then Jesus called his disciples unto him and said, I have compassion on the multitude, because they continue with me now 3 days, and have nothing to eat. And I will not send them away fasting, lest they faint in the way. And the disciples say unto him, When shall we have so much bread in the wilderness, as to fill so great a multitude? And Jesus said unto them, How many loaves have ye? And they said, 7, and a little fishes, and a few little fishes. And he commanded the multitude to sit down on the ground. And he took the 7 loaves and the fishes, and gave thanks, and broke them, and gave to his disciples, and the disciples to the multitude. And they did all eat, and were filled. And they took up all the broken meat that was left, 7 baskets full. And they that did eat were 4,000 men, besides women and children. And he sent away the multitude, and took ship, and came into the coast of Magdala. Now that's that one. Remember it. Here we go in Luke chapter 9, I believe it is. Sorry about this. Usually I would have several of my other Bibles out. That's how much of a devoted Christian I was. Here it is. Look how easy I found it. Luke 9, 10 through 17. And the apostles, when they were returned, told him all that they have done. He took them, blah, blah. And he took them and went aside privately into a desert place belonging to the city called Bethsaida. And the people, when they knew it, followed him, and he received them. Well, for they were about 5,000. And then, of course, he says, But he said unto them, Give ye them to eat. Verse 13, you can probably skip ahead to that. And he said, Give ye them to eat. And they said, We have no more but 5 loaves and 2 fishes, except we go and buy meat for all this people. And they were about 5,000 men. And he said to his disciples, Make them sit down by 50s in a company. And I know what some of you might be saying. Well, I said 4,000 in the last one. Now, I'm sorry, 5,000. Now I'm saying 4,000. It's a contradiction, right? It's not a contradiction, because he does mention, this Jesus character mentions it before. How come you don't remember the 5,000 this time and 4,000 this time? And we're getting to that. For there were about 5,000 men. He said to his disciples, Make them sit down by 50s in a company. And they did so, and made them all sit down. Then he took the 5 loaves and the 2 fishes, and looking up to heaven, he blessed them, and brake, and gave to the disciples, set before the multitude. And they did eat, and were all filled, and were taken up of fragments, and remained of them 12 baskets. The next one, I believe, is in John. Good old John. Now, we don't got to do John, because that's the only 2 versions of the story. Well, it's not 2 versions of the story, because it's the same story. But anyways, here's the point. Okay. Both times, you remember he did this miracle with the fishes. But he has to remind his disciples that are constantly doubting him by his miracles. He even brings this stuff up. Okay, if this Jesus character existed and was doing miracles like that, don't you think word would have gotten around? Think about that. Word would have gotten throughout the whole country. Everybody would be seeing this guy raising the dead, healing the sick, curing leprosy, and people with mental illnesses, casting out devils. And of course, feeding 9,000 people total. You think people will be doubting who he is? A magician couldn't do these things. So if you're a religious person, ask yourself, how in the hell is it none of this stuff makes it is written anywhere outside the Bible? And you can't use, well, they were illiterate at the time. Well, I guarantee you all those Romans that were in that area were not illiterate. And a lot of other people in that area were not illiterate. And from what I have read, the Jews were actually more likely to be literate. So, the writing and all that stuff. Also, there would be some oral communication. So someone would eventually have written that down, you would think. And of course, it would mainly be exaggerations by then, which is most likely what all this stuff is. There probably was a Jesus character that had a mental illness and thought he was the Son of God, and people thought he was doing miracles, and of course his own family and his own town folk didn't believe him, which is why he says, a prophet's not without honor in his own country. So he has to go around and fool people other places, and people fall for him. Basically, kind of like the Charles Manson of his time, except for not psychotic. Now, psychopathic. I've always wondered that. How is it he can do all these miracles and people never believe he is who he is? Because he's not really doing these miracles. These people are making this stuff up after the fact, like they did with Charles Manson. He could fly and do these things. Elvis Presley, he didn't do no drugs and all the other stuff they say about Elvis. He was just a cult figure, cult of personality. Like Obama. Everybody worships Obama. And he wasn't that great of a president, better than Trump, but but he wasn't that great of a president. He's the one responsible for all this SJW bullcrap we got to deal with. He made it worse. But we ain't getting into that in this video, but you know what I'm saying. But think about it. Why is it nobody wants to... And you can't... I know there's a lot of excuses people come out with. And you can get it from gotquestions.org and all that. They just didn't want to believe. It's kind of hard to just not want to believe when someone's turning water into wine and feeding 5,000 people with just a handful of fish and bread, and 4,000 again, and then raising the dead. How do you explain raising Lazarus? How would you explain that away if you were a Pharisee? The Pharisees could never explain that away. Oh, that's why they wanted to kill him. That makes no sense. Because, okay, they want to kill him. This Jesus raised him from the dead. So if they kill him, couldn't Jesus just raise him from the dead again? And if Jesus was really the Son of God, you can't really kill him either, because he'll come back. Which he supposedly did, which for a weekend, An inconvenience. A slight inconvenience. But, hey, you want to believe this stuff? Go right on ahead. No one's going to stop you. Just, please don't be knocking on people's doors expecting them to believe this stuff. This stuff is just so far-fetched. I mean, think about just the miracles, the so-called prophecies. They're so vague. I've been to college. I've read Daniel's prophecies, the weeks and years and the times and the seasons, and people just try to reinterpret that stuff to fit after the fact. Because think about it. Why was it nobody was looking for this Cheesus when he was born if the Daniel's prophecies meant what you think it means? You think they would not? The Pharisees were devout. Do you even know the history of the Pharisees, how they started and everything? There's a reason why they existed. They were defending the faith against the Romans. I never understand people that believe these miracles and believe this Jesus, because think about, why is it nobody seems to really believe him? And it's even written in your book. And Paul, obviously, if it was real, this made a lot of the stuff up. He probably had a seizure or something, but either way, he just took advantage to make himself popular. Probably saw a way to make some, that money, like a lot of these mega churches, the Joel Osteens of the day, Ken Hams and the Ray Comforts and all those others, Kirk Cameron. They know how to make money, and they use religion to make money off you. Your preachers and priests and all of them. Why do you think a lot of your preachers drive BMWs and nice cars and have nice suits and cars? They're the best job in the world. Oh yeah, I need to tell you something fun. It's hilarious. This is because I still have all my preaching CDs and I like to listen to them because they're hilarious. This one guy, he has a funny name and it fits him perfectly. But I'm not going to say his name. But he mentions, when he's doing, because he does the music program at his church. Does this, amazing grace, punching the air and all this stuff. And he'll say, well, and it's Tyler Gender Benders in music. So you might be able to look that up. Who knows? But anyways, amazing grace. So when someone asks him why he does that, you look mad. You like your boxing. You look mad. Like, well, they tell you the honest truth, I don't want people to think that I'm a queer. Like, what the hell? Why would anyone think you're a queer? Why would someone just think you automatically a queer? And doing this isn't going to stop someone thinking you're a queer. Sorry. But I've met a lot of gays. I've seen them on TV and everything. You know, I mean, you know, I'm not talking about just in movies and stuff. I mean, you see actors and people like that are actually gay. Some of them, majority of them, you would not know. 99% of them, you would not know. And there's some people you think are gay because of the way they sound or anything like that. You think they are gay, but they're not. You cannot tell someone's gay by how they talk, how they dress, or any of that stuff. They have to actually come out and tell you. And why would you ask them anyways? Why is it even your business? Amazing grace. I was listening to that last night and that was just hilarious. They're so scared of homosexuality and being confused as a homosexual. Amazing grace. I love that. That's just too funny. Bye.